Alright, so in today's video, I'll be walking through how I made $10,500 in a single month within my first 90 days with an AI lead generation business, and I'll be running through exactly how I did this step by step, really just pulling back the curtains. And the very first thing I'm gonna do is just go over to my Stripe and just to show you that this is real. And as you can see, I set the dates as October 1st, 2022 to December 31st, 2022. I started my business October. And as you can see, over that period, I made $10,500. I'm actually just gonna switch this to a monthly view, right? So 0 in October when I first started, 0 in November, my second month, and in my third month, I hit $10,502. All right, so now that we have that out of the way, and the only reason I show that is not to show off or anything like that, but just to prove to you that I actually know what I'm talking about, because there's just so many people on the internet, they can say really anything that they want to, so I just wanted to get that out of the way. But you're probably wondering, who am I, right? Who's this dude talking about how he's making money online? So I'm just gonna break down kind of like my background context just so that you understand exactly how I did this, right? And this is not gonna be some bullshit like marketing hypey story. Just wanna walk you through exactly who I am, where I come from, what my experience is that led me to being able to do this with my own AI lead generation business. So back in 2022, this is actually me, and I was working at IBM. I was working in a corporate 9 to 5 sales job, and to be honest, right, it was a pretty good job. It was the job that I got right out of college, and it was a pretty decent income. I got really good benefits. I liked my team. I liked my colleagues. We all got along, stuff like that. But the main problem with that was I really just lacked freedom, right? I lacked flexibility. I lacked control, and even tiny things such as asking for permission to just take time off. And I just had very little control over my schedule and my time. I had to drive every single day into the office Monday through Thursday. I was, remote on Fridays, but I just really didn't have that control over my time and where I was and things of that nature. And I knew on top of that, that it was just super important to actually just diversify my income sources, right? Especially with all of the economic uncertainty going on all around the world, right? Things like inflation, tariffs, rising cost of living. Every single day I woke up and I got news of like job layoffs and things like that. And I just knew that it would be pretty smart of me to just diversify my income and not just strictly rely on my 9 to 5 job to just pay for everything and things of that nature, right? And the most important part was I just never saw myself as entrepreneurial, right? In college, I studied a business degree, but I never really saw myself, oh, in 10 years from now, 5 years from now, in a year from now, I'm gonna be running my own business, right? I just never thought that. I always thought that I'd just be inside the 9 to 5, I'll be working hard, moving up the ladder. One day I'll become a manager and a director, vice president, things of that nature. But at the same time, even though I never saw myself as entrepreneurial, I was always open to just learning about new opportunities that would help me create more financial time and location freedom, especially if it was impactful and fulfilling work, which in a way, I just didn't really feel that way at my 9 to 5 job. It really just wasn't that fulfilling. I was doing a lot of like grunt work, tedious stuff, things of that nature, right? So fast forward towards the end of 2022, towards the end of that year, I actually stumbled across the AI lead generation business model, which I'll be explaining in this video how all of this works in complete detail in a little bit. And I actually decided to just give it a shot despite not having any successful business experience, right? Prior to this, I tried a couple of different business models. I tried social media marketing, I tried dropshipping. None of those things worked. I didn't make any money. I just basically wasted a ton of my own time and my own resources. And during that time, as I was starting my AI lead generation business, I was actually still working full-time at my job at IBM, right? I was starting this business, I was working in the evenings, working on some days on the weekends, and really, I'd say on average, I was working maybe 1 to 2 hours a day. And most of this time was spent just trying to figure out how everything works and just kind of having that mentality of, hey, I'm just going to, I don't really know how this works, but I'm just gonna throw a million different things at the wall and kind of just see what sticks. And that was kind of my entire strategy. And I actually started with a budget of $300 to $500 a month, right? I knew that in order to be successful in business, it was kind of a game that you need money to make money. And I really understood that. So I budgeted a few $100 every single month, nothing too crazy. And I allocated that towards overhead and software to actually run this business. So that's what I did in 2022. And fast forward to December of 2022. So I started my AI lead generation business in October 2022. And 3 months after that, in December 2022, I actually hit my very first $10,000 month. Here's a gift of that. And earlier in this video, at the very beginning of this video, I actually just showed you live proof that I actually did this. But yeah, I hit hit 10.5K in a single month. I did this by signing 4 clients. I had no case studies. I had no testimonials. I didn't have any team members. I didn't have any employees. And again, right, I was still working my job during this time. So I hit $10,000 a month outside of my 9 to 5 job. And the most interesting part was, as I did this, as I hit $10,000 a month, I was actually able to match my full-time monthly income, right? So I didn't just quit my job right away to go all in on this. I started this on the side, and by my 3rd month, I was able to match what I was making at my job. And then, I was kind of making that decision as to where I wanted to go after that, right? And now fast forward to 3 years later in 2025. So presently, I consistently earn anywhere between $1,500 to $3,000 every single month for every client that I work with. I actually left my full-time job at IBM to just do AI lead generation full-time. And I now have a team of 4. So I have a few salespeople on my team, a couple of VAs, things of that nature. And I consistently make anywhere between $50,000 and $60,000 a month. Pretty consistently, I've been averaging those numbers for the last year, really. And again, right, I got started with this with no case studies, no testimonials, and no employees. Now, obviously, things are a little bit different now, 3 years later, as I'm doing this full time, and I'm taking this way more seriously. But I just didn't have those things when I first got started, right? But more importantly, what I was able to do was I was able to just build an online business that just gives me freedom and flexibility, because now I work because I want to on my own schedule, not because I have to, right? The biggest thing was at my job, I didn't really have a choice, right? I had bills to pay, right? I had rent to pay. I had to pay for my car. I didn't really have a choice, right? If I woke up and I just wasn't feeling it, I was a little bit sick, didn't matter, right? I still had to go to my job, clock in, things of that nature. I also, because of this is an online business, I get to travel around the world with my loved ones, right? This is my partner. We're able to travel around the world, just work from wherever I really want to, really, right? And because of this, I'm really just not tied to a specific location. I was actually able to, back in December, so a few months ago, I was able to buy my very first rental property at the age of 24 years old. I was able to buy my dream car, and really, I was just able to invest my money into long-term wealth creation and just build financial security for myself and for my loved ones, right? Because that's really the ultimate goal here, right? And just to be clear, inside this video today, what I'll be doing is I'm simply just sharing my journey with this business and just breaking it down, how everything works and how I was able to do this, right? I'm not making any guarantees or any income claims. I'm not telling you that if you got started with this business model, you'll also be making $10,000 a month within 90 days. I'm not going to be doing that, right? Because it's very specific to you and your own personal situation. But if you do decide to start the same business, your results may vary, and again, right, they aren't guaranteed. What you get out of this really just depends on your own effort, your own experience, and your own circumstances, right? And I just want to make that extremely, extremely clear. So just to break down, how does AI lead generation, how does it actually work? So right now in 2025, there's actually 3 emerging economic forces that's really allowing anyone to take advantage of this growing gap. The first major force is there's millions and millions and millions of businesses that need help with finding customers, right? That's pretty straightforward. If you think about the most important thing to any business, it's finding new customers, finding new clients. So there's millions of businesses that just need help finding customers. The second major force is there's just more marketing and sales needs now more than ever before, and sending emails being an amazing driver of finding new customers. And the third major force is with AI now just stepping into the fold, helping write and send and follow up emails really just automatically. And when you combine all 3 of these major forces, you really have this gap in the middle that allows everyday people, literally me, literally you, right? You and me and everyone else to tap into this opportunity if they knew how this works, right? So these are the 3 major forces, and there's a bunch of studies proving what I'm saying to be true, right? I'm not just making this stuff up. I'm not just bullshitting you, things of that nature, right? So for example, according to a research by LinkedIn, they estimate that there are now over 359 million businesses all around the world. So again, right, there's hundreds of millions of businesses all around the world, and all of them need more customers, right? According to this study by Harvard Business Review, 65% of businesses say that finding new customers is their #1 challenge, right? And there's actually a bunch of studies that suggest that lead generation is $1 billion challenge for most companies, right? And this is according to Forbes. And this also shows that the lead generation industry, according to Forbes, is actually expected to grow to a massive $31 billion industry by 2031. So this is a massive growing industry. And what this also means is there's just a massive group of people or businesses, in this case, with the majority of them having this major problem of finding customers and just doing lead generation. And what this does is it really just creates a new window for someone who's just able to step in and provide a solution to this massive gap in the market. So with AI lead generation, what you're doing is you're essentially partnering with businesses, helping them generate leads, helping them generate sales calls that eventually lead to new customers for their business. And here's kind of like a chart that I built out, right? So this is this is going to be you running this AI lead generation business. And what you'd be doing is these are businesses. So just think about really any business, and you're helping them find new customers, find new clients, right? And you're kind of like the middleman in the middle, helping them to do this, right? And essentially, again, right, I'm kind of just acting as the middleman, connecting businesses with their customers. And as a result of this service, businesses are paying me anywhere, again, from $1,500 to $3,000 because I'm kind of just helping them make more money. I'm helping them bring new customers. It's a revenue, money creation activity, money creation service that I'm providing for my clients. And again, all of these businesses have a major problem with finding new customers, and I'm providing a service that solves this problem for them. And so if you stick around to the end of this video, I'll be explaining in step-by-step detail how AI lead generation works, and not only my own personal results with this specific business model, but kind of the results of all of our partners who we've partnered with to co-build their AI lead generation businesses as well. And the reason I'm doing that is just to prove to you that not only did this work for myself, but this works for a ton of different people, regular everyday people who are working regular jobs, just to show you that this is real, this is legit, and what I'm sharing with you today really isn't just theory, right? It's actual real world stuff that just works, right? But before that, again, right, I just want to make it super clear who this business model is for, and more importantly, who it's not for, right? Because just like a job, if you were to apply for a job, it isn't a good fit for everyone. And that's the same with this business model as well. Not everyone is good or a good fit to start AI lead generation. So just to start, who is AI lead generation not for? So this is not for you if you're really looking for any get rich quick scheme, right? I just want to get that out of the way. There's no such thing as getting rich quick. And if you're looking for something that allows you to get rich quick, this is 100% not for you, right? This is not for you if you're looking for passive income without putting in any work. This is a real business, right? You're not going to be randomly making money while sleeping. You're not going to be randomly making money while doing nothing. There's going to be a level of work involved. And although, sure, this is a very flexible business, it won't require you to work 40, 50, 60-hour weeks. This is nowhere near passive income, and I just want to make that clear. This is not for you if you're chasing easy make money hacks, right? Again, this is a real business. It will require effort, it will require consistency, and it will require learning new skills. It's simple, but 100% not easy. This is not for you if you're not in a stable financial position to start a business, right? And to be fully transparent, it really does take money to make money, right? That's the honest truth with entrepreneurship. So if you're living paycheck to paycheck, or you're just like carrying major debt, or you can't reasonably budget anywhere between $300 and $500 per month for just basic business expenses like software and just overhead to run this business, this probably isn't for you, right? AI lead generation is a very lean business model. So it's not like inventory-based businesses like drop shipping or Amazon or things of that nature. You won't need tens of thousands of dollars to buy products up front, but you will still need a couple $100 every single month to allocate towards building your own AI lead generation business. And finally, this is not for you if you just can't finish this video, right? Because the information that I'm sharing with you here today, other people online are charging thousands of dollars for this exact same information inside their paid programs, inside their own courses and things like that. And I'm just giving it all to you completely for free. So if you just can't stay focused for whatever reasons through the rest of this video, even if you go to the bottom right and you put it at like 1.5 2x speed, this probably isn't going to work for you. And I'm just being completely honest, right? Now, who's this video for? Now, this video is for you if you're someone who's open-minded. If you're someone who's willing to just learn new skills that can help you make more money online, even if you're just starting from scratch, right? This is for you if you're hungry to build something of your own and you're just looking for something that will give you more freedom, more flexibility, and more control inside of your life. And finally, this is for you if you could realistically commit 5 to 10 hours per week to build this business alongside of your current job or alongside of your current responsibilities. So that's who this business is for and who it's not for. And I just wanted to put that right in the beginning of this video just to make it clear and so that you're not wasting your own time, right? Because again, this business model really isn't for everyone, and I have no problem just making that super clear. So moving into how does this business model actually works, there's really a couple of key steps. And the very first step is just picking an industry to actually work with. So as we covered earlier, most businesses need to get more customers. So if you just randomly approach 10 businesses, you go down a busy street inside of your city or town that you live in, if you approach 10 random businesses, you could pretty confidently assume that they will actually need help with lead generation. However, and this is a very important point, not all businesses are created equal, right? And the most important component that will determine how much money do you actually make with your own AI lead generation business is just choosing to work with the right businesses and the right industries. That's really the key, right? Not every business is the same, and you want to be strategic, and I'll be breaking down exactly how to do this. So that there's really two large variables to think about as to how do you actually pick the right industries to actually work with. And the very first thing is you want to work with businesses that are B2B. So there's two kinds of businesses. There's B2B, so business to business. That's what it stands for, meaning businesses that sell their products or services to other businesses. So think about things like marketing agencies or recruitment agencies or software companies. They sell their product to other businesses. And the second type of businesses are B2C, so business to consumers. So think about gyms that sell gym memberships to everyday people. Think about restaurants, they're selling dishes, food dishes to regular people. That's B2C. And what we want to do is focus on working on B2B, so business to business. And the second thing, and that kind of ties to the first reason as to why you want to do business to business, is because they typically sell the products or services for a much larger amount, right? If you think about it, if a business is selling to regular people, there's kind of a cap, right? That if there's, a business is selling something to regular people for $5,000, the average person can't really afford to spend $5,000 on a random product or service, right? However, a business that's selling their service or products to other businesses, generally speaking, they are able to sell it for a much higher amount. So the second variable is you want to make sure that the businesses that you're working with are selling the products or services for over $5,000. And the reason why is just simple math, right? If you are working with a client and they're selling their services for $5,000, $10,000, the largest client I ever worked with, they're selling their services for $250,000, it becomes pretty easy for them to pay me $3,000 a month, right? However, on the other side of things, if you're working with businesses that really aren't selling their products or services for that much money, they're not making that much money, obviously it's pretty hard for them to pay you, $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 a month. So it's really just basic math, and that's really the two variables: business to business and a business that's selling the products or services for at least over $5,000. And maybe right now you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed. You're like, oh, well, I don't really know what is a good industry or what are some good ideas to sell to. Well, I'm giving you a list of 15 industries, right? Because you really don't want to overthink it. There's really a ton, right? And I generated this list using ChatGPT. You could probably search it on Google, search it on ChatGPT as well. And what you could do right now actually is just pause this video for like 10 seconds, read through this list, because all of these work. I've had a lot of experience selling to most of these industries, and all of them work. Again, right? Every business needs lead generation. So the most important part, again, right, is if you need to, just pause this video right now to look through this list of B2B industries. And what you want to do is just choose one niche, right? So of this list, just choose one that kind of just either you have experience with. For example, when I was working at IBM, obviously that was a tech company. So I have experience in the tech industry, and I could have got started by selling to tech companies, right? Because I've experienced with that. So if that's you as well, and you have experience in any of those industries, you could start with, with that industry as well. It's kind of like the low-hanging fruit. Or the second thing that you could do is, if you don't have any experience with that, that's completely fine as well. Just choose something that sounds interesting to you. So if you're pausing this video and like, oh, marketing agency sounds pretty interesting, you can start with that. Or if, you pause this video and you're like, all right, software development sounds pretty interesting, you could do that as well. So either choose something you have experience with, or choose something that just sounds most interesting to you. And the most important part is, don't overthink it, because again, every single industry needs leads. So the industry that you pick really isn't that important, but what's more important is that you pick one, because worst case scenario, you could just switch to a different industry down the line. And the reason I say that, just to prove to you that it's true, right, is these are some of like the partners that we're working with. Again, right, I'm just going to be sharing some of our partners' wins just to prove to you that what I'm saying is true, right? So for example, Brian Tsai, right, he's working with trucking clients, right? So literally trucking companies, and he was able to hit $24,000 in a single month. Or Franco, who's working with recruitment agencies from Australia, and he signed his first client for $1,100, right? Evan was actually a recruiter, and he was able to just sign a client, and the payout should be around $10,000, which is completely crazy. We have Christian, who's signed his first client, who is in the real estate niche, right? So he's working inside the real estate industry, which is pretty cool. And we have Simon, right, who started working with video production clients, right, who paid him $2,000 every single month, right? So again, it really doesn't matter what industry that you pick. What's more important is that you actually pick an industry, because that leads us to the very next step, which is how do you actually land clients, right? That's one of the biggest problems that most people really just get stuck with. So I want you to just think about this for a second. Imagine if every single business in the world, so all 359 million businesses all around the world, if all of them knew who you are and knew about the service that you offer, you'd be making a lot of money, right? And it's pretty obvious, right? If everyone knew who you are, you'd be making a lot of money, right? So the number one question that you want to think about is, how do you get as much attention? How do you get as many eyeballs as humanly possible? Like, how do you generate as many people to know about who you are as much as humanly possible? And now in 2025, there's a bunch of different ways to create attention, right? If you think about businesses, how are most of them generating traffic, generating eyeballs onto their business, onto their product, or onto their service? Well, there's like paid advertising. So running Instagram ads, YouTube ads, Google ads, there's word of mouth, there's relying on referrals, there's posting content, right? Posting just content on YouTube or posting content on Instagram. There's a bunch of different ways. But the most effective way, requiring the least amount of money and requiring the least amount of effort, is something called cold emails. And this is very, very important, because to be clear, what I'm talking about when I say cold emails is I'm not talking about spam emails. I'm not talking about marketing emails that you might get from like Nike or Gymshark or Lululemon or other brands, right? I'm not talking about like these, Nigerian prince scam emails. I'm not talking about these product like email marketing emails. What I'm talking about is sending emails sent directly to business owners, one specific business owner, explaining who you are, why you're reaching out, and how you can actually help them, right? And there's a bunch of studies showing that sending cold emails is the most effective way for businesses to actually get new customers, right? This is a study done by McKinsey & Company, one of the largest consulting firms in the world, that says that new McKinsey study reveals that emails is 40 times more effective at customer acquisition than any other channel, right? And there's actually another study that I found from Rain Group Research that shows that 80% of buyers actually prefer emails over calls, over advertisements, over social media for business communication. So there's a bunch of studies that show that cold emails is the most effective way for businesses to actually getting new customers. And this is important because this will actually allow you to use cold emails to, number one, sign a client for yourself, and number two, down the line, help your clients acquire new leads, acquire new sales calls, acquire new customers for their business, right? And maybe you're wondering, oh, what is a cold email? I don't really know what this means. And I completely hear you, right? Because the most effective cold emails are actually super simple. They're actually super short. They're actually super direct, because the most important part that comes down to effective cold emails, right? I've sent millions of cold emails, generated hundreds and thousands of sales calls, because the best type of cold emails are very short, very simple, and very direct, right? You're not writing an essay. You just want to be as direct as possible. And here's actually a screenshot of a cold email that I actually sent for myself and actually landed me a client, right? And as you can notice, it's just very simple, right? It's literally 3 lines long, right? 1 line, 2 lines, 3 lines long, right? It's not very long. I literally say, hey John, are you looking for more customers right now? Question mark. If so, we can help you find more customers with our automated cold email system. And if you're interested, let's set up a quick time to chat. So as you can see, I'm literally reaching out to people. I'm asking them a question, a really strong question, and I'm telling them why I'm reaching out, right? I'm reaching out because we can actually help you find more customers with our automated cold email system. And I'm telling them, okay, if you're interested, here's what to do next, right? And this is a very effective cold email. And once I started sending these cold emails, business owners actually started replying back to my emails, asking to jump on a call to just run over the details. So for example, after I sent this email over here, what happened was a business owner actually replied back to that email. And as you can see, they said, hey, Jimmy, I hope you're well. I would love to get on a call booked in with you with Oliver. I put a couple of options below and they suggested some times. Please let me know what time suits you and I'll send a calendar invite across, right? So this process just works. Again, I've sent millions of cold emails, booked thousands of sales calls, and time again, sending cold emails is the best way to acquire clients. I could comfortably and very confidently say that as well. And it's the same with all of our partners, right? So for again, there's a guy that I was working with, his name is called Nelson. And as you can see from his screenshot, he literally said, I launched my campaign 3 days ago, his cold email campaign 3 days ago, and he booked his very first sales call, right? And a couple of days after that, he actually signed that very first deal, who paid him $1,500. And he literally said, I officially scheduled my first onboarding call on Monday, and we both agreed to invoice her at the beginning of the call for $1,500. I never thought I would close this soon, right? I started working, I joined this program on February 1st. So I started working with Jimmy on February 1st is basically what he's saying. He launched a campaign on March 3rd. And as you can see on March 15, or March 18, I should say, right? He got paid $1,500. So literally less than like a month, right? Now, another guy is called Jordan, right? And he literally said, a nice case of beginner's luck over here. I started my campaign on May 1st, had my first sales call, and signed him for $2,000 and $200 per sales call per lead, right? Another guy is Safras, who said just closed his first client for $1,000 every single month. And a few days after that, 3 days after that, on June 13, he literally said, signed my second client this week, another $1,000 a month retainer. And then we have Ben, who closed his first client, who paid him $3,000 a month to actually do this, right? Because again, time and time again, cold emails, it really just works. And the best part about this business is maybe you're wondering to yourself right now, well, I've never sent cold emails before. I don't even know how this works. And that's, again, right, exactly why this business model is so good for complete beginners, because you can actually use AI to send and write your cold emails for you. Because again, you might be thinking to yourself, but Jim, I've never done this before. How do I even write cold emails that actually work? Because with AI lead generation, AI, so artificial intelligence, it actually does most of the work for you. So writing the cold emails, sending the emails, and following up with business owners. So if you do this process right, that's why you don't need to work 40 hours a week. All of our partners that you just saw from those screenshots, myself included, we were working 1 to 2 hours a day to get this off the ground and sign our very first 2 clients. And the reason why is because AI actually does most of the work for you. So let me actually show you how AI can actually write your cold emails for you in literally less than 2 minutes. So here's the AI that actually writes your cold emails for you, again, right, completely using AI. So I'm just going to show you how this works. I'm just going to press write my cold emails. It's going to ask me what niche I want to target. I'm just going to write marketing agencies for this example. And it's going to show you how it does all the research and how it ends up writing your cold emails for you. So it's going to start doing the research. I'm going to start building the offers. I'm just going to press yes. And it's going to start the process of writing all of the cold emails. So it tells you what you can actually approach these marketing agencies with. Hey, we help marketing agencies add 30 to 50 qualified sales calls, blah, 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 blah. I'm just going to press yes. And it's actually going to start writing the cold emails. So here are 5 cold emails for you, right? Hi John, is company name, looking for more sales calls currently, reason for reaching out is blah, blah, blah. And as you can see, it's literally writing the cold emails for you. And even in this demo that I'm showing you right now, it literally took less than 30 seconds to do this. And that's the power with AI. AI will actually write all your cold emails for you. So now that you've seen how AI can actually write your cold emails for you in literally less than 2 minutes, the very next step is just figuring out, okay, so you have the cold emails written down. How exactly do you send cold emails to business owners in a way where you're not manually logging into Gmail, manually logging into Microsoft Outlook, and pressing send one by one? Because again, that's time consuming and you want to be working smarter, not necessarily working harder. So what I'm able to share with you is the number one reason why I went from $0 to $10,000 in a month in my first 3 months. And the simple thing is called volume. So again, let me ask you this. If you emailed 1,000 business owners today, do you think at least one of them would be interested in what you offer? Well, what about emailing 2,000 people? Because here's the truth. Someone sending 50 emails a day will get completely different results than someone sending 1,000 emails a day, right? Obviously, the more conversations you have, the more emails that you send, the more likely you are to actually find that one person who's interested in your service and interested in paying you, right? Why? Because more people know who you are equals to more opportunities equals to more money, right? It's pretty simple. Volume negates luck. Now, again, to be completely clear, we're not spamming people, right? We're not just randomly writing, a random email and sending it to 10,000 people, closing our eyes, praying, and just hoping for the best. That's not what we're doing, because what we're doing is we're sending targeted emails, targeted messages to real business owners with a real offer that actually makes sense for them. And what we're doing in terms of volume is we're just increasing the numbers of shots that we take, right? Because more inputs equals more chances to actually win. And this was the number one reason of how I was able to go from zero to $10,000 in my very first 3 months. So the question becomes, how exactly do you send thousands of emails every single day? Again, it's very, very simple. You want to use automations and you want to use AI to actually do the heavy lifting for you. So what that means is emails will be able to be sent out whether you're at the gym, whether you're grabbing dinner, whether you're on a plane flying across the country, going to Disney World with your family, with your kids. Because your outreach, so sending the cold emails, it never stops working even when you do. And this is how you scale and create a business without you burning out or without you working insane hours. Because the way this works is this allows you to kind of just set this process up once and let smart systems run in the background day in and day out. So more reach, less effort. And this is exactly how we win with cold emails in 2025. And that's how our partners are seeing success with AI lead generation and how they're making $3,000 a month, $5,000 a month, $10,000 a month plus, with many of them working full-time jobs, running this business on the side, right? So they're not even doing this full time to make those type of numbers, right? And how we want to do this is we want to use this tool, this AI and automation tool called Smartly.ai. And what this tool will allow you to do is this will allow you to set up your cold email campaign and you'll be able to send 1,000 emails per day, 2,000 emails per day, every single day without you pressing send one by one inside your Gmail or Microsoft Outlook email account, right? And here's some screenshots of, for example, here are some cold email campaigns that I actually set up and ran for myself. So as you can see, in the month of February, I sent 17,000 emails. In the month of March, I sent 14,000 emails, right? In the month of September, so last year, I sent 4,000 emails, almost 5,000 emails, right? And this is exactly right. So using this tool, Smartly.ai, that's exactly how I'm sending thousands of emails every single month to grow my own AI lead generation business. So for example, even over here, when I sent 17,000 emails in a single month, in a way, if you think about it, I make it unreasonable for myself not to land clients. If I'm reaching out to 17,000 people, don't you think I'm gonna find at least one person, two people, maybe even 3 or 4 people who are interested in working with me, right? Because when you combine these 3 things, a well-written cold email that is generated and written by AI, which I just showed you, if you reach out to the right people, so if I'm targeting, let's say, marketing agencies, obviously I want to be reaching out to the founders of these marketing agencies. So I'm reaching out to the right decision makers and I'm combining and pairing it up with volume. So sending a lot of these emails, in this case, 17,000 emails in a month, you kind of make it impossible to just not get results. There's just no way you don't get results. I've never seen it not happen where you have all 3 of these things and just not get results. Because again, the more people you reach, the more doors you open and the faster you turn conversations into actual cash, right? And again, this isn't just me, right? So for example, Simon, who you saw earlier, I asked him, hey bro, congrats on the new clients. How much would you say your business makes every single month right now? And he literally said, not including the 9 to 5. So Simon, he works as an engineer, so that's what he does full time. Doing this exact same process, he's making $4,000 a month on the side with his own AI lead generation business. Or for example, we have Brian who just landed a client who paid him $3,000. You know, he said it's 4 a.m. on a Sunday and just building the business, and he got the notification that his client paid him $3,000, which is absolutely crazy. With Sydney, who signed her very first client using these exact same strategies, who's paying her $3,000 a month. And Sydney works as a data analyst as her full-time job, right? We have John, who works, he's an executive at a really large company as an SEO director, and he landed his very first client for $3,000 a month, which is crazy, right? We have Ron, who signed a client for $3,000. We have Franco, who signed his second client for $1,000. And we have Russell, who signed his second client for $1,000 as well, right? Because again, this process, it really just works, right? What I'm sharing with you today, it's just proven to work. Because the next step is, okay, so you're sending all of these cold emails, people are interested, they're replying back to your emails, they're jumping on calls. How do you actually make money by calls, right? So the next step is jumping on a Zoom call to close the actual deal. Now, one thing I want to make very clear is with AI lead generation, you will need to be talking to people. So this isn't something where you're completely faceless, where you just make money by not talking to people. So if you just don't like the idea of talking to people, this business model probably isn't going to be for you. But if you're okay with that, jumping on calls here and there to talk with people, then you can absolutely do this. So the goal of sending these cold emails is, again, just to get a reply from business owners and to set up calls where you get to explain your lead generation services and how it all works. So for again, right here are 2 replies that I got to the cold emails that I sent. One guy, I showed you this earlier, he messaged me back being like, sure, Jimmy, let's set up a time. Here's another person called Tiffany, sure, let's book a time on Friday, right? So I set up these calls, and the most important part is when you do get onto these calls, you don't need to be a sales expert in order to actually do this, because this isn't a high pressure sales pitch. It's just a simple conversation where you're explaining how your lead generation services work and how it can help the business owners solve a real problem, which in this case, again, is lead generation and getting new customers. Because again, they're already struggling to get leads and customers, and you're simply offering them the solution. So you don't need to have any fancy sales tactics, no slick sales scripts, nothing of that nature, right? Because if you've ever had a job interview and you landed a job, you already have what it takes in order to succeed with this. It's just a normal conversation. All you have to do is just show up, talk like a normal human being, like don't be weird, don't say anything weird like that, and explain how you can help them. Just keep it simple, keep it clear, and that's all it takes to actually close a deal, right? And here's actually a screenshot. There's a video on my YouTube channel that I uploaded a few months ago of me taking one of these sales calls and closing this client for $2,500. And you could take a look at that video if you want to see what that kind of looks like, because these are just simple 30 to 60 minute Zoom calls, and you're booking them around your own schedule. So if you're working a busy job and you've got some time between your lunch breaks or evenings after work, or maybe on the weekends, so Saturdays or Sundays, you can actually take these calls when it would best work for you. And here's the best part. For me and our partners, we typically close clients at the end of these calls for anywhere between $1,500 to $3,000 each. And you don't need any case studies, no testimonials. My very first client paid me $3,000, and I didn't have any case studies or didn't have any testimonials. And almost all of those screenshots from all of our partners, they were also the same, right? They didn't have case studies or experience or anything of that nature as well. Now, to be very clear, not every single call that you take will turn into a client. Some businesses just aren't a good fit, and that's completely fine, because even with a modest close rate of 20 to 30%, so meaning if you take 10 calls in a single month, you can reasonably expect to sign somewhere between 2 and 3 clients. And each of those clients are paying you anywhere between $1,500 to $3,000 a month for your lead generation services. So again, simple conversations, flexible schedule, and high ticket outcomes, right? And here's again, right, just some screenshots of some of the deals that I was able to close over these 30 to 60 minute Zoom calls, right? And again, here are some of our partners. So we have Chino. So Chino, what's unique about him is he's actually based out of the Philippines. I actually have an interview with him on my channel as well. He's based out of the Philippines, and he was able to sign a bunch of clients, right? So he signed a client here, he signed his second client here, and then he actually ended up signing his 6th client for $3,000 setup. So if he can do it, he's based out of the Philippines again, right? Then you can do it as well, right? The USD, which is what he's charging, 3,000 USD. That's like half a year's of income when you convert that into the Filipino currency, right? Which is absolutely crazy. With Ajastru, he lives and comes from India, right? So again, this is completely crazy, right? Because anyone can do this. And if he can do it, you can absolutely do this as well. And he signed his first client for $2,000 USD, right? We have Van, who signed his second client for $1,500. We have Simon, again, who had 3 sales calls, and he actually closed 2 out of the 3 sales calls. We have Tyler, who I have an interview with on my channel. He signed his very first client, who paid him $2,500. Very first client. So he has no case studies, no client experience, no testimonials, things of that nature. We got Brian, who closed back-to-back meetings in the morning. He made $7,000 Canadian in a single day. We had Daniel, who signed his first 2 clients over the weekend, one at $3,500 USD and one for $4,500 as well, right? We have Kevin, who signed his first client for $3,500. We have Spencer, who signed a $3,000 deal, and we have Pedro, who said after 2 weeks of follow-ups on a first call, on an initial sales call, he closed the guy for $650 a month. So it's a little bit lower, but the point still stands. This process just works, right? A few days after that, he signed his very second client for $1,000 a month, which is completely crazy, right? Because this process, again, it really just works. Now, once we sign a client, we then move on to a fun part, right? The funnest part of the business, and that is service delivery. Because once you sign a client, sure, you're making some money up front, But the real goal is just getting paid every single month by actually delivering the service that you just sold, the service that you promised. Because you're not here to just scam anyone and make some quick cash. And if that's you, then please click out this video, because this is 100% not going to be for you, because you're not here to scam anyone or make some quick cash. You're here to actually help businesses grow by solving their number one biggest problem, which is getting more leads and getting more customers. So how exactly do we do that? Well, again, it's simple. By sending targeted, automated cold emails that reach the right people every single day, right? So it's a system that works and it runs in the background so that you can focus on growing your income month after month, right? So AI lead generation is one of the easiest business models for beginners. Why? Because if you think about it, what I just said to you, the service that you're selling, so lead generation, using cold emails to generate leads, generate sales calls, is something that you've already done for yourself, right? By the time you get to this point, you sent cold emails for yourself, you book some sales calls, you close a client, and now what you're doing is you're doing the exact same thing for your clients as well. So just think for a minute how you got your first client. Again, right? You used AI tools to write and send cold emails for you. Those emails book some sales calls, and those calls turn into paying clients. Now you're kind of just doing the exact same thing for your clients with one major difference. You're not taking their sales costs. So all you're doing is you're generating sales costs for your clients, and your clients are taking the sales calls for themselves, right? So you're using the exact same cold email system. You're the middleman, right? You're connecting your client's business with their next client, with their next customer, and you're getting paid for it. And that's what makes this so simple, right? You're learning first by doing, first for yourself, then for others, because you don't need to master 10 different skills. You just need to understand one system and then repeat it. And again, right? That's what makes AI lead generation such an appealing business model for beginners, because you're doing cold emails for yourself. You're learning by doing, right? Obviously, when you're doing it for the first time, you're learning how it works. Once you get results, so AKA once you get clients, you're kind of doing the exact same thing for clients. You're not learning something completely different to fulfill the service for your clients. You're just doing the exact same thing that you did for yourself, right? So again, right? The chart, right? This is you, the AI lead generation. This is your clients, and you're connecting them to their own clients. So the AI lead generation business model is very lean, it's very simple, and it's extremely high impact, because you're helping real businesses grow, and your clients are generally better off because of your work. And you're able to do this without needing a team, without needing a bunch of overhead, right? So again, this isn't a product-based business where you need tens of thousands of dollars to actually run this business. It's really only a few $100s, and you can actually sign your very first 2 to 5 clients completely on your own, right? Because each client usually takes on average between 2 and 3 hours a week to manage. And what you'd be doing in these 2 to 3 hours is mainly just making sure that your cold email system is just running smoothly. And clients are then happy to pay you for this work. Why? Because they either don't know how to generate leads and sales calls themselves, or they just don't want to do it themselves, and they would rather trade their money and pay you to do it for them. So you're essentially handling the system for them, and they're paying you every single month to keep doing it. So for example, this is my very first client that I signed, right? I signed him for $3,000, and as you can see, right, he's saying how like he previously worked with someone else, and I hopped on a sales call and I closed him, and a few weeks later, I was actually able, because I was sending cold emails on his behalf, he was able to book a sales call with VMware, and he closed that deal, right? I was able to help him book a sales call with Interlink Mortgage, and he closed that deal as well, right? And if you don't know what VMware is, it's actually one of the largest tech companies in the world. As a valuation, as a market cap, so the company VMware is worth over $61 billion, because this process, it works whether you're cold emailing small businesses, medium-sized businesses, even large businesses like VMware, right? So for example, we have Pedro, who generated the first sales call for his clients, right? He booked another call for his clients. We have Ben, who has a different type of win, where he launched a campaign on Monday, and so far he booked 7 meetings in 2 days, which is absolutely crazy, right? And then that client ended up telling him, hey, we want you to send more cold emails, get us even more results, we'll pay you more money, right? We have Nelson, who booked his sales call for his clients for the very first time, which is crazy, right? Again, he's done the same thing again a second time with Jordan, right? Who was just testing a couple different things, and he started getting a bunch of replies and booked a sales call for his very first client in the week after he sent this message. With Brian, who was working with his clients, and he actually billed his clients for around $3,000 worth of invoices. And he actually said, so he's actually in college, right? So he's using a little bit of slang, but he actually said, so for sure, he'd be at 30K by the end of September, right? Which is completely crazy, right? Because again, you want to make sure that you're actually delivering the service for your clients. But really, because of this business model where you're doing cold emails for yourself first, it really isn't that hard, right? Because you're doing it for yourself first before you're doing it for your clients, right? So the next question is, okay, so you have some clients, you're delivering some results. How exactly do you actually scale to $5,000 to $10,000 every single month? So here's what makes AI lead generation such a simple business model to actually scale. Because you don't need to work with 100 clients. You don't even need to work with 10 clients. It's because to make $5,000 to $10,000 every single month, you really only need 3 to 5 clients. That's it. Because if each client is paying you $1,500 to $3,000 per month, which is standard for lead generation, you'd be able to hit your income goals with just a handful of clients. And here's the kicker. Again, there are hundreds of millions of businesses out there. Do you really think that out of all of these millions of businesses, you can't find even 3, 4, 5 of them who want more leads and are happy to pay someone to help them get that? Of course you can, right? Because this opportunity is massive and the path is very simple. Because again, you don't need to hire a bunch of employees. You don't need to build a massive team. You don't need to work 60-hour weeks in order to do this either. You just need a system that works and a few clients who need what you offer, right? Again, here's the research from LinkedIn that says there's 359 million businesses all around the world, and you only need 3 to 5 of them to make $5,000 to $10,000 in a month. So let's actually reverse engineer some money math goals. So let's say with AI lead generation, your goal is to make $5,000 every single month. So what that means is, let's assume that you're signing clients who are paying you $2,000 a month. As you have seen, a lot of our partners are doing that or charging more than $2,000 a month, right? What that means is you need 3 clients or 3.5 clients, but obviously you can't get half a client. So you just need 2.5 or, somewhere between 2 and 3 clients. Hopefully you get what I mean, right? Or on the other hand, if you are looking or your goal is to get to $10,000 a month, what that means is you need 5 clients paying you $2,000 a month, right? Again, 5 clients out of the 359 million businesses that exist around the world. And again, I want to be super clear in front. This isn't a get rich quick or a make money hack. This is a real business where you're learning real skills and solving real problems for other people. Because this isn't something that will just randomly disappear in 6 months, right? This business model, AI lead generation, isn't reliant on trends or on hype or what's going on around the world, right? It will take commitment and it will take real effort to actually succeed with this business model. Just like anything else, right? Any business that you try to start, you're not gonna just randomly start printing cash, and you're not gonna randomly get to 10K a month by doing absolutely nothing. But if you are looking for an online opportunity that allows you to earn reliable income online, if you're looking for something that is flexible, both time-wise and location-wise, if you're looking for something that lets you work on your own schedule, something that is high impact work and actually delivering real value to the world, something that is simple to get into in a massive growing industry, and something that doesn't require you to learn a bunch of complex things, then AI lead generation can potentially be for you. Right? So here's some proof of other people, partners that we've been working with over the last few years, helping them scale, get started with AI lead generation, and get to $5,000 to $10,000 per month and even more, right? So we have Michael Dominic, who in his second month scaled to $13,000 in a month, with Brian Tsai, who hit $11,000 in a month in his third month with AI lead generation, and he then scaled to 24K a month, so 11K over here, as you can see, and then over here, $24,000 in a month. We have Tyler, who went from $0 to $6,000 in a month in his first 30 days, right? So here's some of his screenshots of him signing his first client, signing his second client, signing his third client, and as you can see, right, $1,500, $2,500, $2,500. He got started with no case studies, and I actually have an interview with him on my YouTube channel. You could probably find that on my channel. It's a 10-minute video where he shares his own journey. You could probably watch that yourself. We have Kevin Yu, who went from 0 to 9.5K in 30 days. Kevin was a software engineer. As you can see, signed his first client for $3,500, signed his second client for $3,000, signed his third client for $3,000. Again, I have another interview with him on my channel where he went from 0 to 9.5K. He's a full-time software engineer, so he was doing this outside of his software engineering job. We have Spencer, who went from 0 to $11,000 within his very first few months. As you can see, signed his first client, signed another client, stuff like that. And again, right, I actually have an interview with him on my channel, how Spencer made $11,000 in 14 days, working with me, working with Jim Fung. And a few months after I filmed this video interview with him, he actually said, showing a more macro win, since being in the group since April, Jimmy has helped so much, blah, blah, blah. After invoicing my clients, I'll be hitting my very first $20,000 month still without hiring a single person, right? So again, this is a very lean business model. You don't need to hire a really big team to even get to $20,000 a month, just like Spencer did, right? We had Daniel, who went from $0 to $13,000 in a month within 60 days. Daniel was working a solar sales job, and he was able to achieve $13,000 in a month, and he actually replaced his full-time income, and he's actually doing this full-time, right? So he just signed his very first 2 clients who paid him 3,500 USD for one client, another one for 4,500, another 2 clients, and then I messaged him. He was like, bro, the call you reviewed with Jessica, so I was reviewing his sales call for him. She's looking to sign on as a retainer, and I said, all right, that's crazy, bro. What are you up to in terms of dollars made? And he said 13,500 USD for 3 clients. And again, I actually have a video interview with him on my channel, how Daniel made $13,500 within his first 60 days. With this business is 27 minutes long, and he just breaks down his journey. So if you're still watching at this point of the video, you're probably pretty interested in starting an AI lead generation business, and it's probably for a pretty good reason, because it's, in my opinion, the simplest online business model for beginners in 2025. And at this point, you really have a couple of different options at this point in the video. So now option 1 is to just figure out how everything works for yourself and hope that you have everything that you need to succeed on your own with AI lead generation. And this is a very viable option, right? I have tons of videos on this exact YouTube channel breaking down how everything works in detail. But in full transparency, I do want to make it clear that while there has been people who have started their own AI lead generation businesses and signed their first client on their own research, it 100% will take you a long time to figure out how everything works, right? It personally took me plus years of just figuring out how everything works, throwing a million things at the wall, seeing what sticks, and just failing countless times and wasting a ton of my own time, wasting a ton of my own effort, and just wasting a ton of money on rookie mistakes. But that's a viable option for you if you're looking to start this on your own. Now, option 2, there's actually a mistake here because it should be option 2. Oops, my spelling mistake is, my writing is bad. Okay, so option 2 is to partner with us here at Inbox Lab to start your own AI lead generation business and scale to $5,000 to $10,000 in a single month. Because at Inbox Lab, what we're doing here is this is a consulting business that partners with people just like you, helping you start your own AI lead generation business. And by the way, this isn't just another course, right? We're actually partnering directly with you, getting in the trenches with you to co-build your AI lead generation business alongside of you. So this isn't just another course where we're giving you 50 videos you're going through on your own and you're just figuring out how everything works based on those 50 videos. That's not what this is. Because what we're doing is we're bringing the step-by-step blueprint, the proven process, and the proven systems that personally took me 2+ years to personally develop. We're giving you the support, the accountability, and the coaching to ensure that you're not just wasting unnecessary time, wasting unnecessary effort, and wasting unnecessary resources. Because the goal is so that you can start AI lead generation yourself and be making $5,000 to $10,000 a month in the next 90 days. And again, I was personally able to achieve those numbers in that timeline, so I know that this is 100% possible if you're doing the right things, the right way, and you're serious about making this happen. Now, to be clear, I can't guarantee that you'll be making $10,000 per month with your own business, right? Nothing in business is ever guaranteed, and you're the one building the business yourself. However, we do have a guarantee where if we do end up partnering together and you're just doing your part, you're taking action, you're implementing the proven strategies, and you don't make back what you invested to initially partner with us here at Inbox Lab within 6 months, then we will refund you completely. But just seeing the success that we've been able to achieve for ourselves with this exact same system, alongside the 200+ partners, where you saw all of those screenshots, those are real people, real partners that we have partnered with. I'm honestly not super concerned about giving this guarantee, because now if we do work together, here's exactly what you will get, right? The very first thing you will get is a step-by-step training program where you will learn exactly how AI lead generation works in step-by-step detail, right? I'll peel back the curtains, show you what's working in my own business, what's working for countless other people as well. And we will go through everything from how to use AI to run this actual business, right? How to figure out the clients to work with, how to build an offer, how to actually get clients, how to take sales calls, how to deliver the service and scale your own business. You'll be learning everything step by step. But the most important part is this isn't just another video course, right? I just want to make that super clear because I hear that all the time. Oh, Jim, you're just selling a course. No, I'm not, right? This isn't just another course, because alongside of this, you will also be getting the AI tool that we showed you earlier, the AI cold email tool that will write your cold emails for you, do all of the research in literally less than 2 minutes. But the most important part that you'll be getting, where most people are seeing the most value, our 200 plus partners, how they've been able to get the results that they get is because the support. So here's an example of one of our partners. Her name is Sydney, and as you can see, she's just messaging me because you get one-to-one support. She's sending me her cold email scripts, things of that nature. She's asking me, hey Jimmy, a prospect, I sent these cold emails, a prospect is replying back to me, how should I go from here, blah, 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 blah. I sent her a voice note telling her how I would personally move forward with that and gave her suggestions and tips, stuff like that. She actually booked a few sales calls. She's taking some sales calls. I'm reviewing those sales calls for her, giving feedback on, hey Sydney, you should talk about this on your sales call. Here's how you could close a deal, things of that nature. And that actually led to Sydney signing her first client who paid her $3,000 a month, right? So that's really the most important part, is you're getting a ton of support. You're getting a ton of accountability to make sure you really get results. Anytime you get problems, you get stuck somewhere which you 100% will with this business model, you're gonna get support and you're gonna get all of your answers answered. Really, that's really the most important part. You're gonna get weekly group coaching calls. These are some of the partners that we're currently working with right now. Here's me, here's some of our other partners. You're able to jump onto these calls with me, ask, hey Jim, this is what I'm doing, it's not working, what do you think I should do? What are some of the mistakes I should avoid? These guys, these partners are getting direct one-to-one time directly with me to get all of the answers to meeting other people as well. Now again, just to be clear, what we do here at Inbox Lab, this isn't a magic pill. This is a business, and in order to see any results, it will require a level of commitment, dedication, and hard work. Because the goal of Inbox Lab is to shortcut the path to success, helping you avoid all of the common mistakes and pitfalls. Ensure that anytime you get stuck or have any questions, which again, you 100% will, all of that will get resolved. And giving you a straightforward path towards seeing real results. Because the quickest way to succeed in anything is to learn directly from someone who's succeeding with what you're trying to do. So if you're interested in partnering with us, use the first link in the bio inside the YouTube description and schedule in a strategy call with either myself or someone on my team. And on that call, what we'll be doing is we'll be chatting about your current situation, what you'd be looking to achieve, and see if what we have here at Inbox Lab, the Inbox Lab Partnership Program, can potentially be a good fit for you. And to be clear, this isn't for everyone, because due to the hands-on nature of this partnership program where we're getting into the trenches with you, we simply can't work with everyone. If 1,000 people said, hey Jim, I want to work with you, we can't work physically with 1,000 people. We just don't have that much time, and we don't have that much bandwidth to work with every single person. So this is for you if you're serious about starting something online to add additional reliable income for yourself. This is for you if you're committed to starting an online business and you're not looking for a get rich quick. This is for you if you're able to commit 1 to 2 hours a day on your own schedule towards having a business. This is for you if you're in a stable financial situation in order to start a business. And if you are all of these things, use the first link in the bio description below and schedule in your strategy call. And this call isn't going to be a high pressure sales pitch. We're simply learning more about you and to see if what we do here can actually help you in the first place. Now, before we end off this video, I actually wanted to answer some of the most common questions that I hear. Now, the very first question is, how much does running this business actually cost? So to start AI lead generation, you need money to actually get started and get this going, because the reality is entrepreneurship isn't free. You will need money in order to actually make money. And if anyone online tells you otherwise, that's a pretty big red flag. So if you're in a tough spot, right, you have no savings, you have bad credit, you have nothing to invest, this probably isn't the right move for you right now. And I really would recommend having at least $2,000 to $3,000 in cash or credit that you could put towards starting this business, right? The worst place to be is be strapped for cash, because what that will do, if let's say you're down to your last $500 in your bank account, you really shouldn't be starting a business because it's going to force you to be in a mental state where like, well, I got to make money right now. I got to make money ASAP. And in business, the people who win in business long term, you look at any successful entrepreneur, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, they're able to adopt a long-term view, right? They're able to stretch out that timeline. Sure, I might not be making money tomorrow, but if I'm doing the right things, I'll be making money 2 months from now. And if you just aren't able to have that mindset, your chances of succeeding in business is pretty slim, right? Because you're just really desperate. I think that's the best way to explain it. So I will recommend having some savings first before starting a business. And if you don't have that, you probably shouldn't start or think about starting a business, right? Because it's going to put you and force you into that short-term perspective as opposed to that long-term perspective. And a lot of the money in this business, it will cost between $300 and $500 a month. That will go towards essential tools and softwares to launch this business properly, right? Now, question number 2 is, what is the timeline to sign for your first client and start making money? And to directly answer your question, there's no one-size-fits-all answer when it comes to how fast you see results, because it really just depends on how quickly you can actually take action. So for me, I signed my very first client who paid me $3,000, and I did that within my first 60 days. And I was actually able to hit my very first $10,000 month in my 3rd month, so within my first 90 days. But from what we've seen personally, most people, most of our partners are able to get this launch within the very first 4 to 6 weeks. And that said, if you're serious and you move fast, there's absolutely no reason why it has to take you that long, because your speed equals the results. And I just wanted to show you this as well, where this is a partner that we're working with, Sean. He literally said, after 3 months, I signed my very first client, 1.5K, right? And then a few days later so literally the next day, so July 18, July 19, he said, Jimmy was right. I signed my second client this morning who paid me $1,000 a month, right? And I'm using him as an example because we've obviously had clients who signed clients way quicker, but I just want to show you that you need to have a long-term perspective, right? It ties back to that earlier question about short-term versus long-term thinking, right? If Sean was strapped for cash, right? Let's just say he was down to his last $300 and he had that mindset of, I need to make money today, he wouldn't be able to even make it to month 3 because he would be out of cash, right? But for Sean, in his case, he probably had some form of savings that he could dedicate to this business that allowed him to adopt a slightly longer long-term view. And he was able to continue running this business for 3 months. And then he signed his first client for that paid him $1,500. The next day, he signed his second client. And that's exactly what I mean about adopting a short-term versus long-term point of view. Now, the very third question is, how does this fit into your schedule? How does AI lead generation actually fit? If you're working a busy job, or you have kids, or you have family responsibilities, things of that nature. Now, one of the best parts about this business is just simply how easily it can fit into your current lifestyle. So the goal is to add to your life, not take anything away, right? At this point, we've worked with over 200 partners, and most of them are busy professionals working 9-to-5 jobs, raising families, just juggling a lot of stuff, and still they make this work. Because if you can carve out just a few hours a week, again, on your own schedule, you could build this out. So if you want to work on the evenings, during your lunch break, or just whenever you have spare time, it's flexible, low stress, and it's just designed to just fit around your life. So again, this is Simon, who said he's making $4,000 per month on the side outside of his 9-to-5 job, and he's working full-time as an engineer. And that's what he was able to do. Or for example, we have Nelson, who I showed you earlier, who literally said he joined the program, the Inbox Lab Partnership Program, on February 1st, launched his cold email campaign on March 3rd, and he signed his first deal for $1,500. And I'm showing you him again because it's pretty crazy, right? Because Nelson is a nurse, right? As you can see over here, right? This was one of our weekly group calls where he jumped on, and as you can see, he was literally working, he jumped onto that call wearing his nurse scrubs, which is crazy, right? And if he was able to do it, you can do this as well, right? Because nursing is a very intensive job. But these are the 3 most common questions. I understand if you have more questions, if there's anything else that you want to discuss, use the first link in the description below and schedule in your strategy call. Now, again, on that call, it's not going to be a high pressure sales call, or we're not going to pressure you into making a decision. What we're doing on the call is simply to get to know you, your goals, and to see if what we do here at Inbox Lab is a good fit and could potentially help you. And if it is, then we'll make you an offer to partner directly with us at Inbox Lab to start your own AI lead generation business and get it to $5,000 to $10,000 a month. And again, we have that guarantee. You can ask us about that on the actual strategy call and things of that nature. But that's pretty much it for this video. I know this was a bit of a longer one. I'll see you in the next one. See ya.